do you think that the legislators merely assisted the executive in the implementation of the law, or did they actually take an active role in its implementation?
Well, Your Honor, under the COA report, based on my limited understanding of the fact, all the figures there, I would say that they were in control. For example, Your Honor, there's a finding that in some instances, the DBM's own measures were totally ignored to cause the release of 2.85 billion pesos. An implementing agency claimed that they were not even, they never endorsed a project at all. And yet you have, I think, 150 million pesos being released. So yes, Your Honor, under the COA report, they were in control, the legislators.
Now, what is your basis for saying that there was a violation of the doctrine of separation of powers? Is it just the COA report?
Well, no, Your Honor. It's the law itself as phrased, Your Honor, along with the DBM circular, which is a contemporaneous construction of the GAA, which binds the government. Both of these textually say that as you look at it, legislators are exercising an executive function.
And what is your basis also for saying that there was grave abuse of discretion on the part of the legislative and executive departments?
Your Honor, our basis for saying that there is grave abuse of discretion is because the law on itself, on its face, already allows them to perform something prohibited by the Constitution. And yet, as Your Honor walked us through, over the years, they continue to enact and repeat the same violation year in and year out. And it's a third prong, Your Honor, they benefit from it directly, as reflected by the COA report.
Okay. Now, on another matter, how does the legislative department check the executive department's power to spend funds from PDAF?
It's supposed to be checked, Your Honor, when after the NEP has been passed to the executive branch, and they will evaluate the proposals of the DBM, the executive department.
Is congressional oversight one of the means to check public spending?
Yes, Your Honor.
But do you think this can be done effectively?
Under these standards and as the way that it has been phrased, no, Your Honor. How can it be done effectively when we have the power, the people who were supposed to watch over the coffers being charged under the COA report to be the ones who are actually taking something from it? It's a conflict of interest situation, Your Honor. The oversight power is now being exercised by financially interested individuals as proven by the COA report.
Now, on the issue of accountability, are the problems on accountability due to defects in the implementation of the law rather than the defects in the 2013 GAA itself?
Your Honors, the GAA and the DBM circular on its own, their text, it's defective and violates separation of powers. We merely listen to the wise words of the Honorable Court in LAMP. That's why we waited for this COA report, because we were guided by the words and the wisdom of this court that before a challenge on the constitutionality of an act, especially the GAA, we would have much more than just mere conjectures to support us. But it does not mean that we are alleging that it is just the COA report. It is the law itself, Your Honor.
Okay, I missed the procedural issue on res judicata and stare decisis, and I'm going to that issue right now. Now, what is the subject matter in the Philconsa case?
Your Honor, it was the presidential veto primarily exercised during that time by the President.
No, what is the subject matter? What GAA is involved?
That was the 1990 GAA, Your Honor.
1994?
I believe 1994, yeah.
1994. How about in the present petition? What is the subject matter?
It's the 2013 GAA and the 2014 NEP, Your Honor.
And other appropriation laws containing PDAF?
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, under these circumstances, will res judicata apply?
It should not, Your Honor, strictly speaking, because they are different subject matters already, Your Honor.
Okay. Now, in Philconsa, it was ruled that members of Congress have the authority to propose and identify projects to be implemented by the executive, and that this authority is only recommendatory in nature, correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, if the exercise of such authority is part of the legislative process, would such authority be merely recommendatory, or does it become mandatory?
Your Honor, if it is part of the legislative process, it becomes mandatory, if construed that way.
Now, what about if the exercise of the same authority is part of the implementation process of the executive, meaning the members of Congress just assist in filling up the details of the law? Is the authority recommendatory or mandatory?
Your Honor, well, my answer would be guided by Abacada versus Purissima. Whether it's recommendatory or mandatory, right now the jurisprudence requires that no effective act be done after the law has taken effect. Any role, any manner, as long as the law has come into effect.
Okay, now, would you agree that the PhilConsa ruling will only apply if the exercise of the authority is part of the executive's implementation of the project?
Yes,
Because
Your Honor.
PhilConsa says the authority to identify is recommendatory.
It viewed in that way, Your Honor, PhilConsa, yes, says that it is only recommendatory.
Now, let us go to the LAM case. What is the subject matter in the LAM case? What
Your
is
Honor,
the
it was
GAA
again
involved?
the GAA for 2001, Your Honor.
How about in the instant case
It's 2013, Your Honor, and the 2014 NEP.
and the other appropriation laws containing
Yes,
the
Your
DAP?
Honor.
So having different subject matters, will the principle of res judicata apply?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. Now let's go to stare decisis. In light of the COA report, do you think the principle of stare decisis in connection with the LAMP ruling would apply?
Your Honor, we are already operating under a different set of circumstances from LAMP.
What is the basis of the denial of the petition in LAMP?
The basis, Your Honor, if I may recall, is that there was a lack of convincing proof presented by the petitioners during that time.
Okay, and with the COA report now,
Today, Your Honor, this is a markedly different proposition.
so the COA report now is your evidence?
Well, Your Honor, it is our third-prong argument, yes, especially since, Your Honor, the COA report is not just a mere newspaper clipping